The following marketing information and discussion is provided for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as professional guidance or consultancy. You should find an agency for that. Comexis is a digital marketing agency, so feel free to hire us. But otherwise, just enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Buyer's Journey by Comexis, a discussion-based podcast on the ever-changing marketing landscape that affects how your customers and clients purchase, ultimately optimizing your marketing efforts. I'm Matthew McGordy, the social media content producer at Comexis.
I'm Len Ward, the managing partner at Comexis.
And I'm Josh Lyons, the digital marketing coordinator here at Comexis.
Listeners, you'll have to forgive me for my questionable sounding voice. I've come up with a cold in our days recording these podcasts. So be sure to put some nice hand sanitizer on your hands in case the germs travel through the sound to you. And also because it's just nice to make sure you have clean and healthy hands. Within my hands, however, I have a nice little show outline, all about the retention stage of the buyer's journey. So all this week, we've been going through the different stages of the buyer's journey. We've gone through awareness, consideration, and the purchase stage. So purchase stage was last episode, which is effectively when somebody is purchasing your product or your service. They've gone through being aware from your brand, they've looked at all the specs, they've thought about it, finally they've purchased it, and now we are in the retention stage where we are attempting to retain that person as a client or a customer. Len, do you want to give me a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown on what the retention stage of the buyer's journey is?
The retention stage, which is the fourth phase of the buyer's journey, is where you are trying to develop brand loyalty with the customer you sold your product or service to. The retention stage is for people who have a subscription-based product. Maybe they are at your local supermarket where you're constantly going there on a weekly basis. Maybe it's Ford, you like Ford. So this is the part of marketing where you're trying to market to the actual customer you have to make sure that they're staying on board with your product. It is a critical component to marketing, and it's a component that a lot of people kind of let fall off. So that's basically the retention stage. It's making sure that a lot of people like to call it account-based marketing, if you want to call it that way, but it's making sure that your current customer or client stays with you through their decision process on if they need your service again. Okay,
so we're going to go quickly into a quick audience profile before we start a couple questions regarding some tactics for email marketing. So here's the audience profile. As we've been following all week, we've been following Jenna buying a vacuum, so I'll just jump right in. So Jenna is a 24-year-old who's about to move into her first apartment in Philadelphia. Because she'll be moving out of her parents' house soon, Jenna purchased a Bison vacuum online to keep her apartment tidy. Jenna has already gone through the awareness, consideration, and purchase stages of the buyer's journey. Jenna's vacuum came with a flyer advertising a 15% off coupon for signing up to Bison's email newsletter. Jenna, not knowing if she'll need another Bison product in the future, or perhaps willing to sign up to offer the discount to a friend, signs up for the newsletter. Every week or so, Jenna receives an email from Bison advertising their newest products, special savings, and general brand information. Eventually, Jenna will become aware of a new need or problem that can be solved with Bison's products, and the buyer's journey cycle will begin anew, this time, hopefully, in Bison's favor. For the moment, this is where Jenna's story and interaction with Bison ends, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the buyer's journey. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the buyer's journey for her. There's still one more step that can occur after the purchase phase, advocacy, which is what we will be talking about tomorrow. So as we kind of have mentioned in this description, which was email marketing, more or less, what are some of the top tactics you would say that are used in the retention stage?
So the number one thing you would do in retention stage, or account marketing, as some people like to call it, is direct email marketing. Direct email marketing, you can talk about sales you're having, future product training, something that's happening that directly relates to the product or service that the client is interacting with you on. Another way to get the message out is to host things like webinars, which can do, again, in-depth training. You can market those webinars via your organic social media. You can actually do that on a paid social media platform. Lastly, you got traditional things like open houses and like fan events and things like that, and a customer appreciation days. But it's really, marketing to the person who's probably the best audience to market to because they already have your product. It's just making sure that you're developing a very deep, intense brand loyalty for your brand by actually letting them know how to use the product, where to use the product, and so forth.
Excellent. So, we're talking about email marketing. The example you just mentioned, one of the top tactics is email marketing. Josh has a nice email marketing article specifically about some global trends from Courtney Worcester on Martech Advisor. Josh, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, and she did a great job basically giving us some takeaways on how email marketing is so important, especially in the retention stage. But anyway, so basically to summarize the article was to get a better understanding of the current state of email marketing and obviously some takeaways that go along with that. And the research that was done came from 4 billion emails from July to December of 2018 that ranged from 126 countries and in 19 industries. So we get a nice broad approach of how this is working. And some of the key takeaways that we'll go a little bit in depth on. So the first key takeaway that we could discuss is that the highest open and click-through rate come from welcome emails. So I'm curious what you both think about that.
So I think just offhand, there's a number I want to get to that I think is really interesting. I think it makes sense that the first email you get after signing up for something you would open, probably because if you're signing up, you're likely not just getting an email saying sign up for our newsletter. It's probably sign up for a newsletter for something, either information on something you're interested in, a coupon code, something like that. So I do think that makes sense. There's a nice quote from the article. Basically, there's no other email category that delivers as high an opening click-through rate as a welcome email. Our latest findings report an 84.22% open rate and a 25.91% click-through rate on average for welcome emails. So some really big numbers in comparison to to some normal email marketing numbers. Len, what do you think?
Well, the open rate, I can definitely see that's being the highest open rate, and I'm a little alarmed about the click-through at only 25%, because normally when you get an email like that says welcome, there's a button to click, verify that you want to join our email, click here to start your service, start your enrollment, whatever. So, I mean, obviously if you just paid for a product or purchased a product and an email comes through, you're immediately going to open it up. So, but a little concerning that it's only 25% click-through, considering that normal email kicker is prompting you to come back and start the service or look at the product. The only way that I think it would be that low is if you directly go into the e-commerce world. So if I just purchase a pair of Nikes, I'm not going to click through that. I see all my order right there. If I just purchase through Amazon and you get that immediate email, I'm not going to purchase that because it's right there. So I think that would probably is the thing that's probably driving down your click-through rate, would be my guess, but that's concerning if that's not it. Like, why are they not clicking through? I do, don't you? If you purchase a product to go look at it, or purchase a service to start it, to go look at it?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that's probably a good guess, given that it's 19 industries in 126 countries. Like, if I had to take a guess, some of those industries are probably things heavily involved with e-commerce. I'm sure there's ones that aren't, but if I had to take a guess, I agree with you. I think that's probably
right. And you're also going through 25% click-through rate of 4 billion emails, which is still pretty high.
That's still high.
Yeah, that is.
So when you sort of look at it
in
respect of how many emails we're talking about, it's a lot of emails.
To make it math, it's 1 billion people. Right?
Yeah.
So you know what?
It's not that bad.
But also, when I think about it, you're also, depending on the product or the service, most of the time you do already scroll through the website. You either sign up or you do make a purchase depending on the product, and you sort of already have the understanding. So it would make sense to me why the welcome rate is so high, and it's because obviously you already signed up and you want to just see what they have to say on the email. But then I think there's already plenty of knowledge about the business or about the industry or the company. So it allows you to realize that, if I want to look at more, I can click in, but I already have a pretty good understanding already of what the service is, and that's why it's pretty low.
So the next takeaway, I'm gonna hijack this from you, just because it's super related to what we're talking about. There's also mention of the difference between open rates in North America and Europe. So the average open rate in North America was 19.49%, while in Europe it was 26.91%. But that also depends on the industry. So for example, average open rate for a restaurant was 37.4%, while travel industry was 22.79%. And the finding there is basically you need to tune your emails for the audience that you're targeting, which makes sense, and the industry that you're in, which also makes sense. It makes complete sense to me that a restaurant email would get a lot more open rates than a travel industry email, considering you need to eat at least hopefully 3 times a day, et cetera, et cetera. So do you guys have any additional comments on that? I mean, I think that one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple.
All right,
to
Josh,
understand.
you can take it over now.
All right, sure. So the last 2 takeaways actually sort of, in my opinion, work really well together. The first one is that the fast subscriber growth doesn't always result in faster acquisitions and conversions. And then the last one is you'll earn the right to enter your customer's inbox by sending more impactful messages more frequently. And for me, I think that's really important, and it resonates a lot because you sort of think of the whole the quality over quantity aspect, where you might have 10,000 followers or 10,000 subscribers or 10,000 listeners, but what matters the most is that a certain percentage are true and loyal, and they're always listening, they're always interacting, because a follower number is just broad, but how specific can we get on who's listening, who's really taking in the information? So I think it's important to understand that just because you have a high follower number might not mean you're getting faster acquisitions right this second.
Yeah, they brought up a really nice quote. According to the data, the countries with the highest average open rates and click rates also have the highest unsubscribe rates. So somebody signs up, you get that number up, and then they realize after you send them a couple emails that maybe they're not as interested in things. Also, they mentioned a couple different reasons that the unsubscribe rate could also be increasing because of the subscription rate, et cetera, et cetera. For example, the call to action could have expired. Maybe they're opening the email 2 weeks late. More opening of emails could lead to more unsubscribing. You realize you aren't that interested in what you're trying to, what you're getting emailed. Or the customer didn't feel the content was relevant, which I think does dovetail directly into the 5th point about, you have to earn your customer's inbox. It's important that your content is good or relevant or quality. I think of all of the e-commerce emails I get in my inbox a day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day from the same company, and I can guarantee I'm probably not going to open most of those,
right?
And they're going to annoy me more than anything.
And that sort of tails into the final point, which is that you'll sort of get more impactful messages is if you don't post them as frequently. Yeah. Because the last thing that you want is, like you said, is to have 2-3 emails a day and they're just throwing information at you that you don't want to see or you don't care as much about. But if you plan the right times and make sure that when you send those emails out, it has a great message that will sort of want them to open it and read it. It takes the whole, again, quality over quantity, where when they open it, they should be super engaged in reading your content instead of throwing a bunch at them and they sort of pick and choose when they like to read it.
I think some of the emails are, some of the email drip campaigns are so strong right now that they're actually like, if you go to like Dick's Sporting Good, and if they're insane for sending 2 to 3 emails a day. And again, this could be wrong, but you'll notice the velocity picks up is as you click and look at one. Okay, that's good. Then another one comes. As you click and open that comes another one. So it's almost like they're retargeting you within your own email box. So their CRM, the way it's set up, is where if they know that you've clicked through, it automatically prompts another one goes. And if you don't click, then it'll wait, and then it goes back. So I am beginning to wonder if that's what's happening right now, where it's just automatic. If you open, it's automatically triggering, and it's getting annoying. And e-com companies are really bad with it. I think Amazon's not too bad, but they're getting a little. They're not great. I think Nike, which I belong to on their list, is tremendous. They do it like once every few days, and it's really a normally cool email that comes out. Adidas is pretty good too.
Yeah, I get about 3 or 4 emails from Fanatics every day.
Well, because you clicking and looking at the stuff?
Not always.
Really, but they're hitting you pretty hard.
Yeah, it depends.
Did you make your purchase any time before that by going through an email?
I've made a ton of purchases on Fanatics, so
do you
that
go
would
to the
make
website
sense.
or you click it through the email?
I guess it depends. I think given the amount of emails that I get, there probably are some purchases that I do click through right the email, which would make sense.
Because you're a heavy hitter.
Right.
They can tell that you
exactly. So since I've made a lot of purchases, they want to hammer it down on me,
yeah.
and it forces me to make more.
I was just thinking about when you mentioned Amazon. I had a friend who just the other day, I think it was actually just last night, got an email from Amazon advertising a jar of peanut butter that cost 90 Canadian dollars, and he was just thinking to himself, what caused them to email me about peanut butter.
Yeah, for $90.
Yeah,
But it's 90 Canadian, which is, I think,
90
actually,
Canadian's like 70 US,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, that's still.
Peanut butter costs $7.
That's what I'm saying. So he was confused because why is it so expensive? Also, why is he getting an email unprompted from Amazon about peanut butter? So that's just a
Well, they're emailing you based upon your search habits on there
well, I
without
know.
even clicking something. They're looking, so they're breaking down his persona by everything he's searched in that bar. They're developing an audience match on him. So somehow, some way, a product he purchased or looked at, $90 peanut butter is like, hey, shit, let's give it a shot. So that's what happened with that guy.
No, I it's just so silly to me because when I think about that, I'm like, what persona did they create to go? Yeah, $99
peanut butter
is what you want to do. Here's some interesting things about some numbers about open rates and frequency of emails. So while each company will determine the cadence that's right for them based on response rates, the average industry averages show open rates between 20 to 34% for newsletters that are sent between 1 and 5 times per week. The less the frequency, the higher the opening rate. Then there's another quote. For example, a weekly newsletter averages an open rate of 34.26% and a click-through rate of about 4.8%. However, a newsletter that's sent 15 times per week has an average click-through rate of 2.01%. So just some numbers to keep in mind if you are thinking about doing some email marketing or interested in learning about it. Just because you have news that you might want to send and you have a lot of developments going through does not mean you should send an email for every single one of those things.
No. Your customers don't need to bother with that. You have to develop your right. The way it works is develop the right email content calendar that goes to, and your content calendar is going to look vastly different than somebody who's in your lead funnel opposed to somebody who you're account marketing. Just make sure it's relevant. Don't bother them with it. And your email almost shouldn't be a point to a customer never to announce what you're doing. Maybe announce a new product, but at the end of the day, it's how can we help you with the product or service you have? What can we do to make your experience better? You have to turn yourself into a concierge when you're in the retention stage, and 15 times a week is annoying, and that's not a concierge, that's just an annoyance. So something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for listening to today's episode of The Buyer's Journey. Check us out tomorrow where we will put a nice little ribbon bow on the whole buyer's journey when we talk about the advocacy stage. And if you haven't listened to our other episodes on The Buyer's Journey, please go listen to them. They're very informative and it'll give you a nice big picture about what this podcast is about, what Comexis is about, and all of this great stuff about the buyer's journey. Check us out on Comexis.com, YouTube, and anywhere else that you guys get your podcasts. And please follow us on Twitter at buyers_journey. Thank you very much.